Poet Time is in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We got a huge fire show tonight. The EU versus Apple is going down. Talk about the greatest battle of all time. We're going with the EU and Apple. 5 rounds in a main event. But we got more to talk about and so little time. So let's not waste any moments. Ladies and gentlemen, the Technoid show starts. And it starts right now. Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to another live episode of Technoid. I just channeled the inner Poeton that's inside. What's going on, everybody? It is good to see you guys. It is good to be back. It's good to have all of you. For those of you watching for the first time, I'm a theatrics man. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Anyway, enough talking, enough said. Let's get this show going. I know you guys just came in from the Sneebable Tech live episode. Thank you all for tuning in. If this is your first time, thank you guys once again. Anyway, let's not waste any time. The man, the myth, the legend is waiting backstage. We got to get him in. What is going on, brother? What's up?
What up, brah? Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Nah, it's good to have you back. I know we missed you last week. We needed the SMT, but it's good to have you back tonight.
We back. We here.
It's good. I'm not going to waste too much time because I want to make this a quick show, but I also want to get a lot of things out of the way. So without further ado, shout out to Kaizi being a real G in this house. Shout out to everybody. I will be doing a roll call as we go through. Number one, first and foremost, and Kaizi, you just saved me time, so I'll just use you as reference. But the first and foremost, if you are new here, please consider subscribing. And also, follow me on Twitter at Technoid12. You will get the latest and up-to-date on the greatest of what is to come. Number two, thanks to Mr. Kaizi, shout out to our affiliate partners, Rogue Energy. We got our brand new ice pop flavor in the house. Delicious. Head on over to rogueenergy.com. Use promo code Technoid. Save yourself 10% off. Also, shout out to the healthiest post-workout drink, Slate Chocolate Milk, lactose-free, zero added sugars. Check it out, guys. Get yourself 10% off by using the promo code Technoid. And recently, our most recent affiliate, SuperX. Thank you to them for taking the journey. Head over to superx.com. Use this special promo code. We are going to get it changed to Technoid. Still working on that. But use all these links, guys. Remember, when you check out the products, if you are interested, you are helping the channel out. And most importantly, you're helping the growth of this channel. So thank you to all our affiliate partners throughout the show. All right. Enough said. Let's start it up. So, main topic of the night. The EU versus Apple.
The EU got power, bro.
Man, let me tell you, there's two types of power in this world that you do not know. There are three. There are three types of problems. Three types of power. There's bullish power, there's also Powhatan power, and then, of course, EU power. And
EU
that's what we're
power,
going to
yes.
talk about tonight. Because if you guys haven't been following this saga with the EU and Apple, if you haven't been watching, or if you have not seen the ongoing, I would say this charade. It's almost like a circus show. But to be fair, also we're switching the lights to something more easier. So if it's easier on the eyes, I hope you guys like blue. But anyway, talking about the EU versus Apple. Now, this all started, I believe, about a year ago, or maybe 6 months ago, when the EU had announced that they were going to put forth a bill. Now, again, this is the European Union. This should technically not affect the United States. But, as we know, two things: money and influence will overpower anything. And it seems that, according to a now new report, I already covered this in a short. I was going to do a full episode, but I wanted to really make this a standout tonight. The EU is at it again. But this time, they are actually going to Apple's throat. They are grabbing them by the throat and are saying, you better not do what you're thinking. And this report is coming in. I'm going to pull up the article here. I already talked about it. Did a short on it. By the way, guys, if you don't know anything about shorts, they have saved my channel hundreds and hundreds of times. So jump on the bandwagon now if you're a YouTuber. But in all seriousness, also shout out to Digital Slang. Thank you so much, dude, for those Nothing Ear Ones review coming soon. But the EU put out a stern warning to Apple and said, look, we know what you're going to try to do. And if you dare even attempt to do this, we are going to fine you and we are going to make you banned from selling. So essentially, I reported a few months ago that Apple was going to limit charging speeds and other functionalities with third-party USB-C cables. Hence why I showed you guys a lot of the evidence to support them doing this. If you remember that video, Sneed, where I talked into detail, showing you the cable, talking about everything that was built in. Well, in a response, and according to Ming Chi Kuo, it does seem
The
that
man, the myth, the legend. He's always in tune.
He is always in tune. And it seems from what we are seeing and from what we are looking at, apparently now, according to the DPA, a German press agency, the EU have warned Apple in a meeting mid-March. According to this warning, it seems that they said, now this is not exactly what they said, but we're paraphrasing here. We're just kind of giving a summary, that by the end of 2024, to adhere with the law that they have in place, Apple needs to make sure that any authentication chips in the USB-C port on the iPhone 15 models and later all have to make sure they support every type of USB-C, from data speeds, charging speeds, everything, by the end of 2024. So they still have a year to go, but they said, if you try to throttle the speeds, if you attempt to try to make your own cables better, we're going to essentially not only fine you, but put a permanent ban, a block on regions from getting iPhones that do not adhere to the law. So now that you understand the full story, I want you to start this off, Sneed, and I'm going to start the question. We talk about the government intervening. Now, this isn't our government. This is the European Union we're talking about. So this is a whole different legislature. But you could see how heavy this affects the American side of it, because it's an American company. Now, my first question is, how much do you think is overstepping the boundaries? And do you think the EU is kind of teetering on that line of intervention? And before you answer, I just want to paraphrase. This is not what I think. This is just a question.
So the premise of this of like this whole developing story, basically Apple wants to create a monopoly. They want to create exclusivity for their charging rates, their data transfer rates, meaning if they make a specific cable that is Apple certified, right? A USB-C cable, Apple certified only, that they'll be able to take full advantage of the best capabilities of the iPhone. Third party manufacturers and whatever vendors would be allowed to make cables for the iPhone, but it would be a lesser user experience because it wouldn't be Apple branded and certified. Here's what the EU is doing. The EU is telling Apple, we are not going to allow you to do these consumer unfriendly practices, because what's going to end up happening is Apple is going to corner the market and say, "Okay, we'll let you guys make cables. No problem. You just won't be allowed to have as good experience as ours. People will have to buy ours in order to take advantage of all the incredible capabilities." The EU is representing the consumer. Apple is representing Apple. They're butting heads, right? Apple is a multi-trillion dollar business that is in the operating in the interest of themselves and their investors, which is anti-consumer.
Mm-hmm.
If the consumer benefits from the enjoyment of the devices and all these features, Apple loves it, but they got to pay. See, to enjoy Apple products, you got to pay for those products, and that includes
Mm-hmm.
accessories and other things and the ecosystem. All of it comes together. The EU is operating in the best interest of the consumer. In this case, it's the European consumer, obviously, but this might also be to the advantage of the American consumer because they would have to create standard, right? Which is what Apple really doesn't want to do. They want proprietary, they want exclusiveness, they want all those things. I will tell you this, man. I'm very happy that the EU is very powerful. I'm very happy to see this hopefully spill into the US. The
Mm-hmm.
US needs to take notes. The EU is kind of flexing their muscle here preemptively. Like, this is before even Apple has hit the ground running. They're like, look, before you even think about doing this type of shit, forget about it. Pump your brakes, hold your horses, because you're not going to get away with it here. That's pretty amazing, right? The EU is prosumer, Apple is anti-sumer. They're pro corporate, right? That's literally what's happening here, bro.
All right. So first of all, you're 100% right. I do believe they are working in the best interest of the people because you're right. Luxury life ain't free. You got to pay for what you get. But to have that limited in certain regards is one thing.
You know what I
Now,
want to see? You know what I really want to see, man? And this will be my final thought.
mhm,
The charging rate, the data transfer rate, that should not be exclusive proprietary to Apple. You know what should be? Quality. The brands should be fighting to produce the most quality
mhm.
cables, the longest lasting, the best built, the ones that people want to buy. It should not be because of, speed and rate of charge or speed and rate of data transfer. It's just we need them competing over quality, not
Mhm.
those types of exclusive things.
Oh yeah, and I was just about to say that. To I'm actually reading the live chat right now, and Top Tier brings up a fair point. The government telling a company how to make the charging for their product is not a good thing. Well, you see, the thing is, you're not wrong because I also am in that stance. I don't believe any government should be overseeing a product or overseeing a company to do what they should be doing. However, though, what you just said is the counter argument and something that I also agree with. What they should be proprietarying is the quality, like you said.
But that's the
It
thing.
sh-
They're not it's not about the product anymore. They're now literally neutering the experience if you don't buy it their way. So you're going to buy their phone, but you can't enjoy the phone as it's designed to be unless you get their cable. That's anti-consumer.
you know, that's the thing also that and the reason why I'm also for this. Normally I'm not for this kind of stuff, but I am. Because we've seen the track record of Apple. We've seen Apple's track record for almost so many years. And, for them to finally do this, not only is it a big win for everybody, because now we can just have one cable to do everything, but also by not allowing Apple to try to limit the performance, limit the feel of the phone, you no longer have to be restricted back. And I understand if some people may not like that they shouldn't be forced to do something, but at the end of the day, unanimously, everybody agrees Lightning was a terrible connector. Lightning
Horrible.
was horrible.
Horrible.
It served its purpose when it first came out. It was good when it first came out because there was nothing like
Yeah, in
it
2008.
in 2011 or 12, I believe. So when it first came out, yes, it was good. But then when USB-C came out, that's when everyone said, nah. Now, there is an counter. So Dan brings up their Apple will be 2 speeds on their phones, and the Pros will have slower speeds than the Pro. They will control it through hardware, not the cable. That I have actually been hearing. Now, we
That's
won't know for
interesting.
sure. We won't know for sure until we start seeing betas of iOS
See, but
17 because
even that's structured different though. Like that's basically saying we're going to make two models of a phone. The Pro model more
but you
expensive will be
see,
more
that was what I
capable.
was just about to say. There was another report of that second phone that people are saying one Lightning, one USB-C. Well, according to Ross Young, the counter argument to that was if Apple was to make 2 different versions of the phone, it not only messes up the production line, but it creates more delays and more, having to separate the blockchain. So Ross pretty much ruled out they're not doing 2 separate phones. This is going to be for everything. And, it's crazy to think that Apple would consider something like that, but it's also not crazy because this is what they do.
Hmm.
This is what Apple does. Now, on the plus side, listen, I will say this. I'm not disagreeing with anyone that doesn't like the government intervening. I agree with you. I do think companies should be allowed to do what they should be wanting to do. But if we just take a look at the positives that are actually coming out of this, there's a huge ton. For starters, now you could use your iPhone and be a real pro. For starters, USB-C is a pro device. iPad Pro, MacBook Pro, USB-C.
I
iPhone
disagree.
Pro,
I don't think that's a pro feature. I think it's a standard.
I say it's pro
I
because
think
of
it's the
the
bare minimum.
well, no, USB-C is pro. It is pro because it can handle 240 watts of data charging of speed, data charging speeds of 240 watts. And with Thunderbolt, if you put in the profile, you could transfer 40 gigabytes in like a couple seconds. So that's that literally for me is what needs to be in a phone if you want to tout camera technology, if you want to tout, file speeds, all that good stuff. But my next question to you, my follow up is now that this is going to happen, just how much will this affect the long term? Like, how does this affect? Because there is one thing I need to mention. And everybody brings this up. They're only targeting Apple. Technically, they're not. But there's only one company that's doing the opposite of everybody. It's Apple.
Right.
So my follow up question is: do you feel that the EU is just going to continue with this, going on Apple more, and they're going to overlook the other competitors?
Oh, what do they got to do? I mean, what like specifically? Is there anything a certain brand or a certain OEM needs attention? Is there
Well,
is there something that people have been able to identify? Because it seems to me like the EU is addressing consumer pain points. Like literally, this is going to address e-waste issues. This is going to address a standard issue. This is going to address an anti-consumer issue. Like they're addressing something major with this. So if there's something else, I'm saying what is it so it could be addressed?
I think there are, truthfully, not as much in third party companies because everybody follows the rules. But I think that by focusing only on Apple, I think you leave that potential room for other companies to make a mistake or two that they overlook. Because Apple is the number one target. You said it. They're $1 trillion company. They're the one producing the most green. They're probably going to be the one the most under the radar. Now, does that mean that, Apple is forever doomed? No. They're going to find loopholes around everything. They just can't find it now because they have no choice. But give it 2-3 years, and I'm guaranteeing you, and anybody from that argues this can argue all they want, but give it 2 to 3 years, and that port USB C will be gone permanently, and MagSafe is going to take over because that's what Apple wants to do.
Yeah, but
They
it's a
want to.
bad way to charge a phone, man.
It is. Oh no, it
It's
is.
inefficient. It produces a lot of heat. The rate is slow. It degrades the battery quickly. There's a lot of deficiency to it, you know?
Actually, now that I think about it, you remember we had that conversation about the portless iPhone, the
Right.
portless phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny. We were very, very close to that. We were very close.
You know why we were wrong, you and me? I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you why we were wrong. Because Apple couldn't do it fast enough. If they could have actually engineered the charging solution fast enough, you and me would have been right. But the truth is that, as incredible as the company is, they don't innovate quickly because they always innovate based on pricing. How do we mainstream a feature as cheap as possible? We want the best display, but at our price. We want charging solutions that we can live with. It's got to be so that we can continue to make billions of dollars every quarter. We're not just going to give people the best when they want it. We're going to give it to them when it costs us the least. See, everybody thinks Apple innovates. They don't innovate shit. They innovate price. I'm talking bill of materials. They will give you mainstream features when it's cost effective for them. That's what Apple innovates. And then they'll tell you that they've innovated because they've added a feature, even though it's been 3 years since some other OEM started using it, or it's been 5 years. But to Apple, it's new, and they tell you, oh, look at this new feature. But in reality, they're just innovating the bill of materials. That's what they do.
Yep. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think that is 100% correct. You're totally not wrong for thinking that. So now let's actually talk about the iPhone 15. Now let's move away from the EU just for a second because we'll get back to them soon. So now we need to have a conversation about the iPhone. So this is reportedly what it's going to look like. Now, titanium, obviously, it's similar to the Ultra build. They're not.
Right.
I don't think they're going with the Ultra tag. I don't think they're going to do that just yet. I think they're going to stick with the Pro and Pro Max name. So I think Ultra might not be there.
Hey, simple is good, man. The stuff people
You know
know.
what?
Simple is good.
Yeah. But now here is the question. For years, we have criticized Apple about that Lightning port. We have criticized them about the iPhone. We have criticized them about a lot of things compared to the competition. Now that they will embrace what the competition is doing, does this make the iPhone 15, and this is not an answer, this is not an answer that requires perfection because it's going to be very opinion based. But would this mark the first time the iPhone truly was the great iPhone ever made?
Well, the iPhone 15, if it has USB-C, is the best iPhone ever made. Finally, a universal standard on a charging solution that will give us the charging speed and the data transfer rates that we've been looking for. Nobody is going to say, well, the reason I have an Android is because of USB-C. Now you can have an iPhone because of USB-C, right? Which is the same charging cable as your Chromebook, which is the same charging cable as your Android or your tablet or your Pro, iPad, whatever. Now we can literally say this has a chance. This will be the best iPhone ever. It's going to have obviously an incrementally improved camera. It'll have incrementally improved battery life, incrementally improved cellular, incrementally improved, video recording, whatever. But the charging solution will be a standard, and that makes it the best iPhone ever.
I know it is hype. I know it's not a rhetorical question, but I do think the iPhone 15 is going to be that phone that changes everything. I really do. I don't think you could make a better phone.
You know they're
I
gonna sell
mean,
that too, right? They're gonna say now with
well, you
the
know what it
industry's
is.
best charging speed or whatever.
Well, you know what it is now there's no more, compromise. Now you have what you need. It's just a matter of will the software
They
give
gonna
you
be
what you
making their
want.
own chips yet, or excuse me, their own cellular modem,
They're still working on it. I do believe they're
like the
still
5G
working on it.
modem solution. With the whole Intel purchase of their mobile arm
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You think next year is gonna be the first year?
I think the following, because I believe they're still working on it. I think 2024 is the year
Because they still
they're
got
gonna
the deal
make.
with Qualcomm. They can still continue to purchase for another couple years,
Hmm.
to get their modems.
Yeah, and speaking of cellular, funny enough you bring it up. That will be our last topic for the night. Again, this was a very quick episode, guys. I just wanted to get Sneed on, just to have a quick chat.
It's been a while,
But
man. You got to
it has
catch
been a
up.
while. But yeah, that's the iPhone 15. I think, like I said, final thoughts. I really do believe that this will solve that issue, that void that people have wanted. For people that are upset about the EU stepping in, listen, I get it. I don't think you're wrong, but there is a lot of positives that are going to come out of this. While I don't like the idea that the government has that big of a say, they're only doing it in the best interest for the people, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think that's what they're doing. But you know what? If you don't believe so, that's perfectly fine. You know what? That's your opinion, and you're more than welcome to feel that way. And I won't argue it because that's how you feel. And I will not say you're wrong. So I get it. I absolutely get it. And I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But now that we're on the topic of cellular, so want to talk about pink thongs or do you want to talk about
Thong it
the
up,
data
bro.
breach?
Thong it up,
Oh,
man.
listen, I made a video talking about the data breach. Now, I already said everything I have to say, but I really wanted to get you on here to kind of talk a little more about it. Now, here's the thing. I want to clarify something. When I made that video, I want everybody to understand that I know that there are millions of data breaches every day. I understand that. And I also want people to realize that I'm not doing this to trash T-Mobile. At the end of the day, you got to call a spade, right? But, I understand that data breaches are very easy if you have the right amount of hacking technology. But here's the thing. Of all companies that I've been tracking in this godforsaken tech world, the only company that has made it more public, more universally known, and more absolutely insane to think that they just keep happening is this company. And I raised the point, I think that at some point there has got to be some, at least at the very minimum, some type of accountability. Now, there is a problem because nobody's holding them accountable. Nobody, not consumers, not the FCC, no one. Nobody is holding T-Mobile accountable. And that's why they keep getting away with this. It's
They'll
not like
never
they're getting away
change.
with it's not that they're getting away with murder, but they're just getting a pass for their mess ups. I
They'll
can't
never
curse on
change,
here.
Mike.
That's the problem. That's why I want to talk to you about it. We say that if consumers wake up, but I don't even think consumers will do it. I think that the problem with T-Mobile, the problem that I have, is that it's so easy for them to lose or mishandle your data. And even if it affects only 800 people, that still should not happen, period.
Well, that's
You should
800. That's 800 cases of identity theft.
That's 800 and so many people that lost their bank account. Well, not
Right.
lost it, but they lose their
Yeah, checking
information.
accounts, credit accounts. I mean, somebody's going to start doing freaking virtual online crimes. Seriously, you
And
got into someone's identity. That can happen.
then you hear T-Mobile or Mike Sievert, Eugene come out And he starts raving and says, "We're the number one in customer acquisition. We have the greatest." Well, no wonder you're number one in customer acquisitions, because you're about as easy as getting your stuff sold on the dark web.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Remember back in the day, they used to make a joke, the dark web, the dark web?
Hmm. Yeah.
You don't even have to try anymore. Just be a T-Mobile customer. There you go.
You end up on the
That's how
dark web, man.
easy. That's how easy it is. So I bring you here to talk more about it, and I need to ask you, Sneed. You know, the FCC was so on top of T-Mobile during the whole merger phase. You had Letitia James going after them. You
Yeah.
had everybody and their mothers going after T-Mobile for them not to merge. But when it comes to things like this, they don't, nothing. No sound. You could hear crickets. For crying out loud, you could hear Area 51 lighten up. So I need to ask you, do you think their priorities are elsewhere when it comes to certain things? Or what is your takeaway from all this?
Yeah, the T-Mobile priority is always like into their marketing, right? You see all the commercials, they're very aggressive within the marketing and advertising spend. They have really good effective messaging. The T-Mobile side is better. We're going to give you value. We're going to get you all this great stuff. You're going to get a great price. You're going to love the services here. We're better than Verizon. We're better than AT&T. All these things. They make great commercials. They have excellent, ideas and execution. And then they've heavily invested into their network the last few years. They've made it a lot better, right? They've
Mm-hmm.
increased coverage. They've added lots of capacity. They started selling home internet. There's so many good things that T-Mobile does, but this is not one of them. This is one of the areas that they neglect. They don't protect consumer information and data. It's completely exposed. Now, the reason why this is important is because this is the type of information that is known as personal identifiers,
Mm-hmm.
meaning your identity can be stolen. So, random accounts will be opened, random purchases can be made. All this information like your SS gets sold in the dark web and all this other stuff. The thing about it is T-Mobile actually doesn't get hacked. It's the systems where they store all that stuff about you. Your information has been exposed. It's not T-Mobile's information. Eugene
Mm-hmm.
Yackel's not getting hacked. Sweaty
No,
Armpit's
yeah.
not getting hacked.
No,
Neville's
no.
not getting hacked. You know, whoever at T-Mobile, John Fryer, Callie Field, none of them are getting hacked. It's the customer. And that's because they don't prioritize security, right? They prioritize other things and they don't invest in customer protections. The only way I would recommend T-Mobile to someone who cares about their security would be if you go on as a prepaid customer and you sign up under the name Tony Stark or Thor Odinson or, or Steve Rogers, or Loki. Just pick any Avenger character name and just sign up under that name and don't give them your real address. Don't give them any type of secured payment information. Give them like a prepaid debit card or a prepaid credit card and just keep enough money on it so that if it does get hacked, you won't be out more than $50, right?
Honestly, yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like
No, I
if you
believe
put
it.
your checking account to auto pay on T-Mobile, you are literally asking to have your checking account depleted. And
Yeah.
if you sign up with your real name and SS, you are literally asking for identity theft because Mike, this happens literally 3-4 times a year.
Yes.
So
It does.
what's alarming is twofold. The frequency of these hacks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's the duration of the hack. They're in the systems for like 50 days. They can literally go into T-Mobile systems, just walk in and just start perusing all this customer information. And they don't detect it for like 40, 50, 60 days. The last hack was exposed from the end of November to the first week of January.
Yeah.
This one was exposed from the end of February to the end of March.
This is where I raise the question. When are they going to be held accountable? And the answer that you and me have said is never.
Who is
As
going to make them accountable?
Here's who I think should start. This is how I think they get held accountable. Number one, customers need to be smart. They got to get smarter. If you're seeing that a company can't handle your private information. I don't care how much money you're saving. I don't even care what deals you're getting, how many free lines you get.
Well, that's the thing,
Just
Mike, is
boot them
that
out.
the customers are making a decision that they want to save money, but here's the risk. Here's what's coming with the risk. The inherent risk is, you're trying to save money. You're going to be with this carrier. You only have 3, 4 choices, right? Unless you know to go to MVNO. Your choices are T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T. People are choosing T-Mobile because of the pricing. It's great. It's
Mm-hmm.
cheaper, right? Like
Yeah,
you can
you're
get a couple
right.
free lines.
Yeah.
You can get like discounts on the home internet. There's ways to save money. You're getting Netflix, tax
That
and
is
fees
true.
included. You're getting
There
all this
are a lot of
value.
incentives, yes. But the thing is, you've got those other third parties. And just to answer this question, I believe it was a hack. It wasn't a rogue employee
It's
because
I don't. It could have been, but the outcome's irrelevant.
the outcome is
Every
still the
every
same.
company has disgruntled former employees.
But here's the other thing I was just about to say. You've got third party NVNOs that are starting to make a splash. Visible by Verizon, Mint Mobile, now by T Mobile. You've got other people that like other companies, Mobile X. Well, we'll find out how that does in 5 years. But you've got these other third parties that are powered by their network, and people are starting to see them. I've actually, funny, you want to know something funny? I was actually doing a small little survey in my school. So the survey was how many people have A, B, and C? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and then if you have another. Here's what I found out of 100 people. This is an estimate. I did this for a survey for school. Out of 100, 50% Verizon. New York, Verizon. So I knew the number was going to be high.
Mhm.
Here's the shocker. 30% was T-Mobile. So roughly second place.
Mhm.
Now, here's where the kicker. 5% was AT&T. These are estimates, by the way. The other 15% was a third party. Sneed. Another. So I
So it's
wish I
like
could
what,
have.
like Boost, Metro, the
Yes.
prepaid stuff,
Yes.
right?
So let's do the math
Cricket,
again. So 50% said Verizon. That's first.
hmm
30% was T-Mobile. That's 80%.
right?
15% said other. You would think AT&T would be in there, but they were doing something else. Then the last place was AT&T. To
Yeah,
be fair,
I think
AT&T,
AT&T is the weakest of the carriers in New
it's the
York.
weakest of them. But
Yeah,
the shocker that came out of that survey was almost 20%, 15% of people in my school. Now, again, it was just 100. There's thousands of people.
sure.
The fact that most of them actually are aware of other third-party carrier services like Boost, Metro, Cricket. I mean, if you want to throw Cricket in there, but
Right,
the
yeah.
fact that they are is shocking to me because the average person wouldn't know something like that. Now, mind you, these are 18 and older demographics in college. At 18 and older, unless you're in your master's program or a late starter, you're not going to care about what you do. But there is one thing that people do care is the money they have to spend. Because
Right.
if you look at what we're going through into every day today, it's getting more.
Watching your spending, right?
Exactly. So people are educating themselves. I believe that's why people know about these third parties because they are trying to find a ways to get the best value for their money. And I think that by them going the third party, they probably figure, you know what? I don't get Netflix. I don't get all this stuff, but I get what I need. I get unlimited, blah, 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 moron, and so forth. So that's.
You know what it's gotten to though, Mike, and tell me if you agree with this. Maybe T-Mobile shouldn't be storing all that information. It's fine if you have to like do a credit check when someone first wants to go to T-Mobile and then they want to finance a phone, right? To run a credit check and you need that information. But
Mhm.
once you've done that credit check and the phone has been financed and you've got that program in place, why do you have to save the ID picture, the SS number? Like, why do you have to make that accessible to hackers? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
there should be a better system and process in place for dealing and managing customer personal identifiers.
Oh yeah,
That's where I think the problem is. They basically created a problem that doesn't have to exist.
exactly. And now they got this whole new phone plan called Go 5G, which is basically just a rebranding of Magenta,
More
which
expensive
is
version of Magenta.
it's a
Yeah.
more expensive version. I was actually going to ask you about that. What are your thoughts on Go 5G Plus? Is it essentially the same thing, maybe with a few tweaks here
Uh,
and there?
Mostly, but like there's a customer at like a T-Mobile customer who could get the Go 5G Plus plan and take advantage of the additional hotspot data, take advantage of the additional international data, right? If you travel, for example, regularly,
Hmm.
like let's say you take an annual international vacation and then you visit family in another a country like Mexico or Canada. See, it makes sense to have that additional,
Hmm.
those features because you'd be using it regularly. But if you travel internationally like once every 3 years,
Hmm.
you wouldn't upgrade to this plan to pay an additional $5 extra per month per line just to use that feature once every 3 years.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I think you know who else it's for because T-Mobile just changed their policies. In order to get the best trade-ins and the
Hmm.
best phone promotions, you now have to be on their most expensive Go
Yeah.
5G Plus.
Literally,
Otherwise, you're
that's
getting
yeah.
lesser deals.
And it's so funny how
By the
they're
way, they got rid of the free line on Magenta and Magenta Max. They took away the
Mhm.
third free line and put it on the Go 5G Plus and
on
Go
the Go
5G
5G.
plans.
So
Right.
now you have no choice. The only thing that I will say though, because I am a huge advocate for this. I am really happy though that T-Mobile is catering, and I know not many people care about this, but I am really happy that they do cater to 55 and older customers. So
Yeah, they got a nice discount and
I
stuff.
will
Yeah.
give them that. That is one thing I have to give them credit for is that
The in-flight
they
Wi-Fi is cool. Like they got stuff
exactly
that's really
yes.
good. It's true.
That's one thing I have to give them credit for is that they actually cater to their 55 and older. But anyway, but even going back after that, even going after that. So now let's get into the gist of this whole thing. So going back, and also I'm just kind of looking here. But anyway, so in retrospect, back to the security thing we were talking about. Essentially, it really, you know, it really is hard being a customer. Now, I will be honest. My family and I did switch back to T-Mobile. We better double check a few things,
Hmm.
but I was
Which plan do you
impressed.
guys have?
Magenta Max, 55 and older, because
Okay.
my parents
Okay.
fall under. And I will tell you, I gotta be honest. I was impressed when I switched back because when we left in 2018, 2019, the service was terrible, one bar everywhere,
Unreliable.
unreliable,
Yeah.
absolutely. But flash forward 4 years later, we come back. And I gotta be honest with you, this is just from my experience. They did improve. They
Oh yeah.
made those investments into the network, and it was noticeable. Dead
Yeah.
zones were no longer dead. We no longer needed boosters. We no longer needed to get extenders, range
Hmm.
extenders. We didn't need any of that. Now we were getting 3, almost 4 bars daily. And if you go to any random spot on this island, you could find an ultra wideband spot out of the blue. Now, obviously, it's not like
So calling got more reliable. Data speeds more usable.
much
The
more usable,
text messages
much more.
going through every time. No resends. No issues.
And I don't even have to worry about being in the parking lot garage of where I work and
Yeah.
not have to worry about the signal being 1 or 2 bars.
Yeah, because they added more tower sites. They
And
densified and
I,
they made the network better.
exactly, they did what they needed to do. And I actually was really excited for the future. I said, you know what?
So
I
what's
could
their
get
new
behind.
horizon, bro? What's the next thing they gotta fix?
Well, here's where they need to fix is their goddamn security. That's what they need to start focusing. You want to make
You made the
uncarrier.
network better. You got the pricing. You got the plans. You got the
Now make the
features.
damn security better. Don't be saying that advanced scam blocking protection is an uncarrier move. How
Nah,
about an uncarrier move? Our security, advanced security with Cisco
security.
networking.
Yeah.
Security. Because literally, all you got to do is literally say, we're partnering with Cisco for our high end
They
security.
said they said last year after like the third breach, they said that they hired a firm to do like an audit of all their systems and put in some new processes to help with the security. So like since then they've been hacked twice.
Shows about as much as that firm is helping.
Well, that's what I want to ask you. Do you think they actually got a firm to do it, or are they lying?
Oh, I think that firm just got lazy. That's what I think.
See, I think they're lying. I don't think they got a firm.
I wouldn't deny if they
I
were.
want a receipt showing that they are paying a security company to secure customer information because I don't believe it.
Archie,
Otherwise,
fun
they
fact,
should get their money back.
Archie, fun fact, notice how I said my family. Notice how I said my family, not me.
Yeah,
You could hold me all you want, but at the end of the day, I got an AT&T eSIM. Thanks a lot, Los Mobile. So don't hit me up with that, oh, well, Technoid, this and that. I
Oh,
ain't
that's
on
what it
that.
is.
I ain't
That's
on
what it
that
is.
ping
Mandiant.
thong.
That's right. Yeah.
I ain't on
Mandiant,
that
yeah.
ping thong stuff. Hell nah. We got our Los Mobile
But
AT&T.
think about it, man. The company hits on so many different levels, but like they struggle with this one thing that literally has become their Achilles heel. Outside of that, what's their real weakness? They're still a little bit coverage deficient in some parts of the country, but they've got
Yeah.
network parity throughout a majority of the country, and they've got the most value in their
Mm-hmm.
plans, and they're still the best priced.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
still give good perks and stuff. Like,
And it's funny. That's why I'm glad that I'm not a part of that. Like my mom and dad, they can do what they want. They can do what they want. What they want to go on a T-Mobile, do whatever. Me, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm chilling. I'm having fun.
well, you gotta know this going into the T-Mobile experience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to lock your credit scores.
Oh, I already told them, so
You're
they're
gonna have to
set.
pull your checking account information or your debit card, and you're gonna have to like, probably because you know what else they just did? You can no longer put a credit card on file for the auto pay discount. You have to put a
Oh
debit
yeah.
card or a
Oh yeah.
checking account.
What's funny? Every time this happens, I tell my mom, I'm like, "You still happy you switched over? I know you were paying a lot of money before, but I really hope you know what you're doing."
Dude, they see that's the thing. Like in New York, I know that the AT&T network's not the greatest. They
Mm-hmm.
offer awesome discounts, but they
They
don't
do.
have the best network.
You know what it is?
Like the Verizon and
AT&T.
I think the T-Mobile
Yeah.
experiences are
The thing
better.
is, Verizon is king. When we had Verizon, that was actually when I was willing to be on there. Now I just do my own thing. But I genuinely love Verizon. I didn't want
But your
to.
bill was like $50 more, right?
Yeah, we can't even lie. We're
See,
paying.
that's literally the cost of an
they're
extra
paying.
line.
They're paying the 55. So because my parents are 55 and older, obviously I don't qualify for this. So that's why I went and did my own thing.
Yeah.
But 2 lines will get you $100. So for them, it was nothing.
Mhm.
So for them, they're cool with that. But anyway, for me, I was like, listen, you want to do your thing, go do your thing, but just
See,
know what you're
Verizon's
signing
going to be
yourselves
like
up.
120 plus taxes and fees.
But you see, I would have been fine paying that money for Verizon, not just because of the performance and the stuff, but because I know for a fact what I'm getting. I'm paying for high
Yeah, but it
quality
goes to
service.
show you, like your parents, for example, they're just like, we just need cellular when we need it. We're going to be on
I told you
Wi-Fi
the
at
story.
home most of the time.
But I told you the story that my dad had been with T-Mobile since the 80s, early before they were even T-Mobile.
Oh,
They
wow.
were under. So my dad had been a long time customer. He was
Like,
there.
are you talking like voice stream?
Yeah, we're talking that long. So
No.
he was in on them before T-Mobile became T-Mobile. So he was the one that really is more loyal to them because of his connections back in the 80s. So I can understand him. My mother, on the other hand, she was like, I love Verizon and all that, but hey, man. But anyway, like I
Tell you,
said,
man, cost matters. Cost does
I
matter.
don't deny, yeah, cost does matter, especially in this economy,
Yeah.
especially the way everything's going right now. But look, I'll just say this. T-Mobile has the structures now. They do have the pricing. They do have the value. They got it all. But their security sucks. So I think what they should do is genuinely invest, not just like they invested in their network, because I will give them credit. They did make some improvements. They have to invest in their security. They need to, at the
Bro,
end of the
listen,
day,
they're
no
about to
matter.
they're about to purchase Mint Mobile.
Oh,
They
God.
should purchase a cybersecurity firm.
Yes. Literally, you could literally get high schoolers that could protect your data better than what they're doing.
Game Boy level security, dog.
Bruh, not even. We're probably talking Sega Saturn Game Boy levels. But all I'm going to say, final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this show. Listen, T-Mobile's got the infrastructure. This is everything that they wanted to do post-merger. This is it. This is the T-Mobile post-merger. But they need to start partnering with data protection now. Now they really need to really start protecting, because at the end of the day, and I think you'll agree with me when I say this, their number one priority is keeping customers safe. And I think from emergencies, being able to call in emergencies, and knowing that their data and their sensitive information is protected, period. I think that should be their core. So if they want to
Listen,
spin this,
yeah,
if they want to spin it as an uncarrier move, literally do what Rando Geek just said. Partner up with Malwarebytes.
I'm saying that would be on Carrier. Hey, we
Literally.
take customers' data so seriously. We purchased a cybersecurity firm just to protect their data.
Literally. That would be perfect.
I think even better
You
would be
know who would
not
be good?
requiring
You know who would
customer
be
data.
good? If they could buy this company out, and if everybody doesn't know about this company, Threat Track Security, they make Viper advanced internet security. They are some of the best performances. They're able to, Threat Track Security back in the day was able to go toe to toe with Norton. They were able to go toe to toe with Norton with internet security. If they were to put an offer to get that, I
Well,
would love to see this.
I
And you
think
know
the
what,
bigger
Archie? All seriousness, you're 100% right. 75% of people that watch this, they definitely do. So they're not going to hold them accountable. But eventually they got to have to start waking up and being smart. But the reason that they're not doing it is because they're getting held back by pricing. But head on over to Los Mobile. But in all
man,
seriousness, you're absolutely
look,
right, though, Archie.
what do
You're
you
absolutely
think?
right.
What do you think about the possibility that someday a carrier literally says, you know, we're not collecting personal identifiables outside of your name,
That would be
right?
nice.
We need your name, we need some kind of a address, contact, or whatever, but like we don't need a copy of your ID. We don't need a copy of your driver's license. We don't need to store your SS app, if you're not financing devices. Bro, if I'm not financing phones, they should not have access to the things they need for my credit. I'm not
Yeah.
financing. I'm willing to prepay. As long as I get postpaid type service, I'm willing to prepay that.
No, yeah.
I don't want these companies just stashing away my data and then holding on to it and having at risk for breach. I don't want it. I'm literally one hack away. I don't care who the carrier is. I'm one hack away from moving all of my family lines to a prepaid MVNO and just putting the account name to Tony Stark, Steve
Yeah.
Rogers, Butterbean,
Literally,
Muhammad
Eric
Ali,
Cartman.
Mike
Literally, Eric
Tyson.
Cartman.
Yeah, bro. We put like 7 lines on the account. We just pick random names, bro. And like Albert Einstein, Alexander Graham Bell, Arthur Fonzarelli, like you name it, bro. We're gonna just put all those in. I
Real
don't care,
quickly,
dog.
Evelyn, to answer your question, I know a guy.
Where do you even go
But
to get
anyway,
those?
you're right, though. Yeah, you're right. All right, listen. We had a lot of fun. We had a great time on the show. I would love to do it more, but I got to run. But before we leave, I need you here, Sneed. This is the last thing I want to say to everybody. Guys, I normally don't come on here and promote certain things. I normally don't do this. I know I have my own stuff going on, but I want to highlight something that's going on in my neck of the woods here on Staten Island. So there's a guy, and he actually is a very big horror fanatic. Now I'm a huge horror fanatic myself. I may not go overboard and beyond. I know if you like horror. Well, he is making an independent horror movie called Pretty Face. It's an independent horror slasher. Now, guys, this is backed by fan service. The reason I'm doing this is there two reasons. Number one, whatever happens on Staten Island, I'm going to support it. And number two, I love horror. And I've seen the previews, I've seen the potential of what this could be with the right amount of funding, with the right script. And I think they've got something here that could be very, very unique. So I am going to post a link in the live stream and at the end of this episode. And I encourage all of you to please, let's help him to get this project off the ground. He's only looking for 10,000. And right now they're a quarter of a way, a little bit more. I've already put in. All you need to do is donate $25 and that's it. And for that $25, you will get a shout out in the movie that it will also be pushed. You will
Oh,
get
damn.
your name in the credits. Special
Nice.
thanks.
Yeah, supporting. Yeah.
So see, special thanks and credit. I've already put in. So I encourage all of you, let's help this man out from one local Staten Islander to another, and especially in a genre that I love, horror. Let's make this man's dream become a reality. So I'm going to leave the link. I'm going to leave it in the comments. Let's help him out. I love horror movies, and I can't wait to see this one.
Bro, I had a horror experience once. I ended up on the T-Mobile subreddit, bro. The shit was terrible.
Jesus. Oh, that was a fate worse than hell itself.
It was all thongs, bro. Shit was crazy.
Alrighty, guys. With that said, we are going to end this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the live episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you all for watching. Sorry if I'm sounding like in a rush, but I got to run. Sneed, I will call you later to thank you more in detail. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.